this quite interesting. Take a look.
You know this Ted Marchibroda, but do you know this one?
Yeah, I think I probably was a pretty good college quarterback. I could run a little bit, and I threw fairly well, and I think in those days the players weren't as big as they are right now.
He's a little bit small for today's quarterback, but I'm sure he was a savvy type guy, and even though I never got to see him play or I've never seen any film on him, I'm sure he was, you know, a pretty good competitor.
In fact, he was all that. The Steelers liked what they saw, enough to make the University of Detroit grad the 4th player taken in the first round of the 1953 NFL Draft, and to make Ted Marchibroda one of 3 quarterbacks they kept in 1955 when they cut a young man named John Unitas.
You know, really at that particular time, I don't think anyone could have realized that John would turn out to be the great quarterback that he was. I think the thing I remembered about him, without question, he had an extremely strong arm.
Teddy was a good, excellent player. Excellent player. He's very good passer. He thought the game very, very well, called plays very well, and he's just a good guy.
And apparently not a bad quarterback in his day. In his only season as a starter, Ted Terrific threw for 12 touchdowns and ran for a couple more, and made a little Steeler history in what he still regards as the shining moment of his career.
In those days, Pittsburgh they weren't winning too many football games, but I think I was the quarterback to beat Cleveland for the first time in Cleveland, and that was a big day because Cleveland was always a big rivalry, being so close to Pittsburgh.
In that game, Marchibroda completed 12 of 20 passes for 227 yards and 2 touchdowns. Alas, his career would end a year later when, with the then Chicago Cardinals, he hurt his arm and shortly thereafter began a 14-year career as an NFL assistant coach. He helped the Redskins make it to Super Bowl VII and helped a young Notre Dame quarterback see his way to big things.
That's right. Ted was a short little quarterback of his own likeness, which we had a lot to relate to. He's one of the guys I could look eye to eye at. Today, you can't look eye to eye with quarterbacks anymore. But if it wasn't for Coach Marchibroda, I don't really feel like I would have been able to accomplish the things that I did.
The Colts hired Marchibroda in 1975, and he turned a 2-12 team into a 3-time division champion. But by 1979, Baltimore had bumbled to back-to-back 5-11 seasons, and Marchibroda was fired.
I think any time that you're fired for the first time as a head coach, you know, you'd probably take it more personally and harder than maybe you would later on if it were to happen. I think within myself, I felt pretty good the fact that overall, from the standpoint, we had won 3 divisional champions and we had lost. We were 5-11 the last 2 years, but our quarterback Bert Jones was hurt the majority of the time, but we lost, and that's without question the deciding factor.
So Marchibroda went back to life as an assistant. He spent 10 of the next 12 years with 4 different teams, while the Colts went through 6 head coaches and 2 cities. It took a long time for opportunity to knock again, but Marchibroda didn't take long to answer the door.
Immediately. I mean, there was no decision. It was an easy decision to make, really. I wanted to come back. Hopefully that if I would come back again, it would be with the Colts, and certainly to this particular time, everything has turned out maybe even better than what I had anticipated.
I'm very excited to be named the head football coach of the Baltimore Colts, and I feel off to a great start.
I come in preparing myself as to what I was going to say, and wanted to come in with a little enthusiasm, and I think I got a little overzealous and said Baltimore rather than Indianapolis.
That's about the only mistake Marchibroda's made since coming here. In his first year back, he turned the Colts around from 1-15 to 9-7. At the end of his current contract, he'll be 64 years old. So will this be his last coaching job?
Probably as head coach, I would think so, yes. But at this time, I've enjoyed it so much. It's been a great life to this point, and hopefully the best is yet to come.
Colt fans hope so, too. Ken Tobash, 6 Sports.